You know what's weird? The main character in this movie, the main zombie, he wears a red hoodie. And just because of that, I had this weird desire to wear a hoodie for the review. Not because it's cold out or inside this room, not because it's cool looking, because the zombie wore a hoodie. That's my motivation to wear a hoodie. I don't know why I just told you this story.
What am I doing with my life? I just want to connect. Why can't I connect with people? Oh, right. It's because I'm dead.
Hello, boys and gals. Welcome to Mothman Jones Reviews. I am John, and today's featured movie is an early review, which for a movie that comes out in February of 2013. Hello, Warm Bodies. The movie stars Nicholas Hoult, who plays Beast in X-Men First Class, Teresa Palmer, who is a hotter, more emotional version of Kristen Stewart, and John Malkovich, who brings some really good legitimacy to this movie. Now, the story for this movie is very conventional. Not. It's about this zombie named R, who's Beast from X-Men, and he's a dead corpse, but he has a conscious mind. He talks to himself all the time, and he wants to feel like human again. On the flip side of things, Teresa Palmer and John Malkovich are daughter and father, and they live in a city which is blockaded by a giant wall. So if you watch Walking Dead, it's the equivalent of Woodbury if Woodbury wasn't so chaotic. So Teresa Palmer and a group of people go out into the city past the wall to go search for medical supplies and food, and on this journey, R and a bunch of zombies attack this group. Most of the people die, but R saves Teresa Palmer's life and brings her to his this is so ridiculous, airplane crib. They both form a relationship, and he falls in love with her, but it's not necessarily the same way, for the opposite way around. And he wants to convince her to fall in love with him because maybe, just maybe, love is the way to cure corpses in this world. I had no expectations going into this movie. It looked like Twilight with zombies from the trailer, and I saw it because it was an early screening, and I was like, okay, another screening, cool. I walk out of this movie, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it was flippin' awesome. I felt that the story itself was a really refreshing take on the zombie subgenre in horror, because the zombie genre, let's face it guys, is starting to wear out again. It was big back in the day and it came back for this generation, and it's starting to get a little weary, but this movie took some really, really unique ideas that you may not have never thought about before in your mind, like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. The acting was very good for what it was, because this movie, even though it goes to a couple serious places, for the most part it's a self-aware, fun movie. And most of the actors play it tongue-in-cheek and very self-aware. And it's actually really awesome, because the guy from X-Men First Class, Nicholas Hoult, the star of the film, he acts both through his mind with the self-conscious monologues and through actual speaking. There's a part in the beginning that involves Nicholas Hoult and Robert Corddry, and that's all I'm going to say about that in terms of zombie interaction and dialogue. My new boy, Dave Franco, is in this movie too, and even though he doesn't have the most pivotal role, it was pretty cool to see him in it, and I could tell from this movie going forward that he's going to be a big actor just like his older brother. I felt like this movie was like an artistic vision of a movie, because it felt like a collaborative effort, but it also felt like a movie that people actually wanted to make. This movie had great direction. There was a lot of scenes that were placed forth in the beginning of this movie that ended up being resolved at the end. A couple surprises too, towards the end too. There was a lot of interesting camera angles actually. For a zombie movie where you think every camera angle has been done to death, there are still some refreshing angles that the director Jonathan Levine takes. And there is also a reference to Romeo and Juliet, the greatest romance of all time. And this movie gets points in my book for that. You have to love a movie with a great soundtrack, and this movie definitely has a great soundtrack. There's a lot of classical music that goes back as far as like the 60s and the 70s. There's some contemporary music too, but there's a good balance, and there's also an introduction to record players and records, which I know a lot of tweens are going to see this movie, and when they see it, they're going to be like, oh, what's a record? Yeah, well, this movie will let you know what it is, you culturally ignorant piece of shit. Overall, like I said before, even though this movie has a couple dark areas in terms of plot, it's mainly a lot of fun, and there's a lot of great humor that just comes and derives from the zombies. And there's so much humor from zombies that you wouldn't expect could be done, but you would realize that from watching this movie. And I was laughing my ass off 2 or 3 times in this movie, and there's a lot of jokes where I was giggling and smiling, and I was just having a ball. My complaints for the movie, which are very minor, but they're complaints nonetheless, which I had to address. Your suspension of disbelief. You have to take it into account because this movie is about zombies who have the ability to somehow become alive again, which I won't spoil how. They talk to themselves human. They could speak English at points. And there's a lot of aspects of the movie that just would never happen if a zombie apocalypse occurred. But that's not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is to have a lot of fun. But if you're one of those people who's looking for something realistic and something that's on point with how a zombie apocalypse would actually occur, no. The actual conclusion, it was a nice way to wrap up the story. It just felt safe. Overall, though, Warm Bodies, which releases in February, the first week of February 2013, it's a very fun movie. It's a fun zombie movie in general, but it's also a very fun movie in general. I think people of all ages, well, not all ages, because this movie is a little inappropriate for younglings, but it was very enjoyable for people of most ages. And I think this is the ideal movie to take your girlfriend or boyfriend to. It's coming out right around Valentine's Day, and the best part about this movie is that since I loved it, and I'm straight as a line, girls and guys could both love this movie. There's aspects for both demographics to love, which is freaking awesome. It was memorable, very memorable. It's been a day already, but I remember a lot of aspects of the movie still, and I laughed thinking about some of it too. It was just a lot of damn fun, and for what it was, I'm going to give Warm Bodies 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you're looking forward to Warm Bodies, or if you're looking forward to it now because of my review, let me know how, why, who, what, when, where, how, and why in the comments down below. Also, subscribe to Mothman Jones right there, and check out my Facebook and Twitter accounts on the channel itself. I am John from Mothman Jones Reviews. Who's knocking at my door? Probably a zombie. Wouldn't that be funny? No, it wouldn't. See you next time.
We're changing everything.
We're seeing corpses fighting skeletons, sir.
Who do we shoot?
Shoot this!
Hi. Huh?